Y'all, don't mind the Christmas tree. It is literally February 1st. We're calling this the Valentine's Day tree. Yeah. Hey guys, long time no see. My name is Amaya, and today I'm going to be talking about my experience with jury duty and what to expect actually being selected in the process of that.
Only because you ain't here.
So let me just start off with how I was informed, how I got notified. So I got a letter in the mail, and it pretty much said, hey, you are summoned to come to jury duty on this date, and it says to pretty much go on the website and confirm that you received the letter and that you're going to be there on that date. So when I got the letter, I didn't check my mail. I have a bad habit of not checking my mail for like 2 weeks. So when I got it, luckily enough, my date was 2 weeks out, so I can't really tell you how soon they send out that notification, but it's obviously a good amount of time. So now fast forward, I didn't really know how to feel about it being summoned for jury duty because the last time I got summoned was 3 years ago, and it was, I believe, the night before at around 5:30 p.m. I got a text message saying that I was no longer needed. So I never went to jury duty. So my first date was on a Tuesday, and I went there. I went to the courthouse, and luckily I was able to find parking at one of the garages that was downtown, and I was waiting outside for them to open the court. I went up, going through security, and I was able to get where I needed to be. So when I got there, there was a bunch of other jurors. We were in a room, and they played videos for us. I believe it was like 2 or 3 videos just about what jury duty is, explaining that we don't need to know the laws to be a part of a jury and everything. So that was all right. We were in there for about 3 hours, kind of just waiting around. People were on their phones, going to the vending machine, whatever. It's a lot of waiting around. Then they started calling names, and my name was mentioned in that first group of people. So they took us and brought us to a different building. There is where we sat in another room, and we sat and waited. There was an attorney that came out and told us what the case was about, like a brief summary that they can tell to the public, because all the people, I would say it was around the amount of people that they brought over to that building was maybe like around 50 people, maybe a little bit more, because the entire room was filled. Like every chair was almost full. So we were all waiting there, and an attorney came out, and he was pretty much giving us a summary, a really basic summary of what the trial was going to be about. He listed the people, the names, the witnesses that were going to be on the case, and I don't know if she was a clerk, but she came and she said to us, if you guys know anybody that was mentioned as a witness, you guys can write it down, bring it to me, because you can't be on the trial if you know anybody that was involved in the trial. She also said if there's anybody that's in school or is going to be missing any work, or has kids and has other obligations that they would really have to attend and can't do jury duty, to fill out a form. So me, I tried to get out of it. I swear I tried. I took the form. I said the things that I'll be missing out on if I was to be a part of the trial, if I was to be selected as a juror. And once everybody did that, then they took all the papers, they reviewed it, and they came back, and she made another announcement saying, this person, you guys can leave. You guys are dismissed. So I was one of those people. I had to stay. So I was like, oh, I did not want to stay. But I guess what I wrote on the paper wasn't good enough, and I had to stay. So now we're doing even more waiting, and the attorney comes back again, the same attorney that was out before, and he starts listing names. He said one guy's name, he went up, and then he was gone for maybe I'll say between 20 and 30 minutes, and then I was the next person that got called. So I ended up getting shown to a room, and when I went to that room, it was the attorney that came and 2 other women on the other side of the case. So the attorney that was out speaking to everybody, he was on the plaintiff side, and there were 2 women on the defense side. So they sat there across from me. They were asking me questions, pretty much like interviewing me, seeing if I would be a good fit as a juror on the case. And lo and behold, I was. Now, I didn't know this at the time. So I walk out after the interview is done. I'm thinking I was being a little too nice. I was like, dang, I don't know. Like, was I like, I don't know. In my mind, I'm like, I don't know, like, how this is gonna go. Either I was being too nice and like they're like, okay, this is perfect, she's a good fit, because the questions that we were asking her specifically about the case, like you know, like would work in their favor kind of thing. So I'm like, okay. So I go back into the room, the big room, after interviewing them for about 15 to 20 minutes. It wasn't that long. And I sit there for maybe 3 to 5 minutes, literally. I'll say like 3 minutes. And that woman, she says my name, and I walk up to the front, and she tells me, you've been selected as a juror for the trial. I was like, oh, okay, well, great. The only thing that's running through my mind is work. Missing out on work. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh, brother, but it was okay. So then now I'm like, okay, she gives me the paperwork and the directions to like where jurors park and stuff like that, and the case information, numbers to call if necessary, I leave, go about my day. Fast forward to the next week. So they said it was going to be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then it may extend into Monday. And at that point, I'm like, because my job is only going to pay me for 3 days. Like, so I'm like, yikes, like, I don't know. But I was like, okay. That Wednesday comes, I get up, I believe I was there for 9:30. When I first went that first day, I had to be there for 8:30. So now I'm like, okay, I get to sleep in, like, you know, I got there for 9:30. But I got there at 9 o'clock. I went downtown for 9 o'clock because I wanted to be there early. I wanted to find parking. When I went there was no parking. I literally went around downtown circling. And if y'all know, it's been snowing here. So there's been snow taking up spaces, and it's just been a whole lot. And the downtown area is always so busy. It's the busiest on Wednesdays. That's what one of the clerks told me when I went in after this. So I was stressing. I finally found parking, and then it got to me paying for the like meters things, and I didn't have any quarters on me because like I don't really carry too much change on me. So now I'm over here going to the meter thing, and it takes card, but for some reason it wasn't connecting to the internet around. So I'm like, oh my gosh, at this point it's like 9:30. It's past 9:30. So then I finally, like, there was 3 out there. I finally go to each one and I figure it out, and I'm rushing. I go through security. I go upstairs where I'm supposed to be, and then I go in there, and one of the other women that's on the jury, she was like, nobody came out to us yet. Nobody has said anything. So I'm over here panicking, crying, upset, dang near, and nobody, like, I'm fine. Well, I'm not fine because I was supposed to be there for 9:30, but I was fine. So whatever. Boom. Shortly after, the clerk comes and gets us. He introduces himself, and the clerk is someone who is also in the courtroom. So it's the judge, it's the clerk, it's the trial reporter. I don't really know. This is the person that be typing everything that everybody says in the courtroom. Him, the typer. And then it was the plaintiff and the 2 women on the defense side. And so yeah, that's how the courtroom looked when we walked in and everything. But so the clerk comes and gets us, brings us to the courtroom, and we walk through the courtroom, and in the courtroom there's like, we have our own room. The jurors have their own room where they would deliberate later on during the trial. So basically we're all new to this, and we're not talking to each other. We're sitting there just waiting for something to start, and we're probably in there for like a good 30 minutes. And then we finally get brought out into the courtroom, and the plaintiff starts with his opening statements, arguments, whatever it's called, and then the defense does theirs, and then I believe they started with the plaintiff, the actual woman who was bringing the child to the court. And honestly, that experience lasted, remember I said it started on a Wednesday and it was gonna end possibly on a Monday? We started on Wednesday. On, I believe, Friday, the clerk pulled us aside and was like, would you guys be able to stay here and follow through with jury until next Thursday, the latest? Who? I gotta go to work. Who? So I'm like, because of work, guys. Y'all know I'm thinking about work. So do I have to? Because there were 6 of us. There were 6 jurors and 3 alternates. There was 9 of us in total. The alternates are just in case if somebody can't come, if somebody gets sick, or like whatever the case may be, you know? So it's like, all right, we have the alternates, but now it's like everybody's kind of scratching their head like, I don't know if I can stay, you know, I have work, So there was only 5 people that could stay. You need 6 for a jury. Like minimum, you need like 6. So we're all just like, we gotta call our jobs and this, that, and the third. So boom. That's on a Friday. We already did Wednesday, Thursday. That day is Friday. And then we come back and there's no court on Monday. So we came back Tuesday. And at this point, like, the judge was pretty much like, all right, this is like getting too long. So yeah, it's Tuesday, and the judge was pretty much like, y'all, like, talking to the attorneys, like, we kind of gotta like speed things up because it's going longer than it should have. The case, because you know what it was? You know what it wasn't? That serious. The case wasn't even that serious for it to be dragging out this long. I feel like certain points were dragged out for the effect. I don't know. That's just me. Like, yeah, it was just a little bit too much. Because if y'all knew I could tell y'all what it was about, what the case was about, but I'm not even going to do all that. Maybe if y'all want me to talk about it in a different video, I can. So the judge was pretty much like, we're gonna try to speed this along and everything. And we got through a good bit of everything on that Tuesday. So all that was left on Wednesday was the closing statements, which they had an hour each to do. So, and I knew that it was gonna be kind of fast because the judge asked us to come in at 10:30 that day, which was the latest she ever told us to come in. So I was like, okay, cool, maybe it'll be like fast or whatever. So it was, and they said their closing things and we were good. And then before the jury could discuss, the attorneys had to gather their information, all their copies and everything like that to give to us so that we could have it in the room when we deliberate. So we went on like an hour and a half, or maybe it was 2 hours. We went on like a 2-hour break. And while they did all that stuff, and when we came back, the alternates were dismissed. The 3 alternates that we had, they were dismissed. And now the judge read us this whole long thing about our instructions of how to come up to a verdict when we're deliberating with each other. She gave us this whole long instruction. She was, when I say it was pages, she was flipping, like flipping, mad long packet of instructions, and, you know, reading us the laws for each claim and how to go about getting a verdict and everything like that. That took her about an hour to go through. And then when we finally did get to go and deliberate, that took us about, I want to say 45 minutes. And we were kind of rushed because it was about like 4 o'clock when we started our deliberation, and they wanted us to be done at 4:30 because the court closed at 5. But we got done at maybe like 4:40-ish. Because that, one of the first questions, we were all kind of like not on the same page. But everything else after that, we were kind of like going through. So then we got done with that. We picked a floor person who would sign their name with the verdict and everything. And then we went back out and the judge, or the clerk, read out the verdict. And then the judge read out the verdict. And then, yeah, that was like it. But luckily we didn't go to Thursday, because at this point it was completely dragging. I think we were all on the same page, like the attorneys, the judge, everybody in the room, the jurors, everybody like literally in the room. I think we were all on the same page. So that was my experience going to jury duty. Would I do it again? If I was getting paid for my job, if I was getting paid for the full days, yes, I would do it again, because it was a good experience and I can say that I did it. But I don't know. I would say, yeah, I would say yes, I would do it again if I was getting paid for my job for every single day, not just 3 days. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything, want to know more, if I skipped over anything that you guys have questions about, please leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. It's super important to subscribe, like, and comment on my videos. I will see y'all when I see y'all and stuff like that. Bye.